When a food substance melts in the mouth, the brain concludes that nothing was actually eaten, failing to register the thousands of calories traveling to the stomach. This effect is the result of targeted engineering performed in sterile laboratories. Food scientists use mathematical modeling to determine the exact structural properties required to bypass the human body's natural satiety signals. The common feeling of guilt following a binge is a predictable byproduct of this business model. It reflects a physiological response that was intentionally mapped out by the companies producing these goods. On April 8, 1999, the chief executives of 11 major American food companies gathered in Minneapolis for a secret summit. Public health experts were beginning to link processed food to the rapid rise in obesity, and the threat of government-mandated sugar taxes was looming over the industry's profit margins. Michael Mudd, a senior scientist and vice president at Kraft Foods, led the presentation. He arrived with a set of data that directly implicated the products his colleagues were selling. Mudd identified the primary driver of the obesity crisis as the ubiquity of inexpensive, energy-dense foods. He stated that the industry bore responsibility for the health of its consumers and urged the room to reform their products. The executives rejected his proposal. Rather than altering their formulas to favor health, the group prioritized the protection of their existing market share and quarterly earnings. The documented record of this 1999 meeting indicates that the current obesity epidemic is the result of deliberate, informed corporate decision-making. To maintain those profits, the industry moved away from traditional kitchens and toward industrial laboratories. Howard Moskowitz, a Harvard-trained mathematician and psychologist, led this transition. He clinicalized the human appetite, treating taste profiles as data sets to be optimized. He later stated that he viewed his work as pure science, devoid of any moral or ethical constraints. Moskowitz identified a specific mathematical ratio of sugar, salt, and fat that he called the bliss point. Human cravings function on a bell curve. Too much or too little of an ingredient leads to satiety, but right at the peak of that curve, the brain experiences maximum pleasure without ever triggering the signal to stop eating. Finding this coordinate required exhaustive computation. For brands like Prego and Dr. Pepper, Moskowitz ran thousands of tasting trials on dozens of formula variations. He used multivariate regression analysis to find the exact point where a food becomes irresistible to the human palate. Products designed at these coordinates trigger an intense dopamine release. Brain imaging shows that this reward pathway is nearly identical to the pathways activated by addictive narcotics. The bliss point ensures the first bite, but finishing the entire container requires a second layer of engineering. The human body relies on a biological clock for hunger. It takes approximately 20 minutes for the stomach to send the hormone leptin to the brain to signal that the body is full. Food scientists bypass this clock through a physiological hack called managing caloric density. A cheese puff is constructed to dissolve the moment it makes contact with saliva. It is a calculated structural breakdown. Because the physical volume of the food vanishes instantly, the stomach never registers a sense of bulk. The leptin signal remains silent, and the brain concludes that 0 calories have been consumed, even as the body processes hundreds. This technology effectively blindfolds the human digestive system. It disables the body's natural kill switch, allowing for continuous, unchecked consumption. In the decades since the 1999 meeting, these tactics have been integrated into thousands of products, from breads to sauces to yogurts. The modern grocery store operates as a minefield of engineered addiction. Each shelf is the result of millions of dollars in research dedicated to overriding the biological defenses of the shopper. Individual willpower is an insufficient defense against a multi-billion-dollar industry that employs behavioral psychologists to study and exploit human vulnerabilities. The worldwide obesity epidemic correlates directly with the widespread application of this corporate science. Are we entirely responsible for what we eat, or are we the victims of a corporate science experiment? Let us know what you think in the comments below, and subscribe to the Shadow Files for more.